So my bathroom is tiny, like really tiny. There's zero counter space and nowhere to put anything. So I move my getting ready routine out of the bathroom and onto the hallway floor, which hasn't been working either, and is maybe why my makeup looks like this. So today I'm turning the most unexpected space into my dream makeup vanity. I'm showing you how to create your dream makeup vanity when you have literally zero space to work with, including how to make designer-looking shelves from basic framing lumber and ways to customize affordable furniture to make it feel built-in. This video is sponsored by SwitchBot. I use their AI frames in this makeover, and I can't wait to show you all the possibilities for how they can customize your space. So this is what I was working with, a completely blank space in my hallway that was sandwiched in between two bedrooms across from the bathroom. Most people would walk past this every day and assume there's no way for anything to go here. But I saw potential for a gorgeous getting ready space if I could just figure out how to go vertical and use every single inch strategically. The design plan is 2 shelves, so one up high for storage and display and the lower one as the actual vanity surface. The key constraints I was designing around is everything has to sit really close to the wall and the stool has to be able to tuck in. I need to be able to hide the cords from this outlet that's kind of up awkwardly in the middle of the wall so they don't look like a mess. And then I want some storage that doesn't look like storage, so functional pieces that kind of double as decor. First up these shelves, I use 2x8 basic framing lumber, which is about as unglamorous as it gets. But what is glamorous is this is only about $10 a board. So I really wanted the look of a live edge shelf for this space, but live edge boards can be pretty pricey, so I faked it. This lumber, if you just use it as is, it's kind of that like stereotypical off-the-shelf framing lumber look. Like everyone knows it's the affordable cheap board that you bought. But if you use a circular saw to kind of cut off the edge in a jagged way, it totally fakes a live edge. You don't have to cut it straight at all. You get that expensive organic look for a fraction of the cost. So yeah, I completely made this up and it works so well. So shelf brackets are a little tiny detail, but they can be such an important design moment for like tying in different finishes, pulling everything together, and there's so many boring shelf brackets out there. So I was really excited when I found these. It's like an antique brass that's pretty warm. It has like this grid shape, so there's some texture involved. They're really easy to install. They come with hardware. They're affordable. So it's like the perfect bracket. And I did make sure to sink these into studs. One of them was not on a stud, so I ended up just driving giant screws through the bottom of the shelf at an angle into a stud, just so everything's supported, because I want to be able to hold like a lot of weight so I don't have to be super careful what I put on these shelves. For the stain, I mixed weathered oak and golden oak together to get this sort of like light mid-tone stain, and it really brings down like the yellow orangey pink tones and gives it kind of a more muted brown. Weathered oak on its own is a little too gray, golden oak is a little too yellow, so mixing them together is like the perfect Goldilocks wood stain. And I like to apply all my stains with a rag. There's no brush strokes, and it helps you get the perfect amount so you're not putting too much where it ends up sticky. One design detail I'm really proud of is I cut the ends of the shelves at a 45-degree angle instead of leaving them square. In a hallway this narrow, sharp corners sticking out can be a head hazard for the higher shelf and a knee hazard for the lower shelf. So I didn't want edges jutting into the hallway where people walking around could bump into them. So cutting them at a 45-degree angle gets rid of all the sharp edges, and it sort of helps the shelves like blend into the wall a little bit. So this not only gives me just a couple extra inches of usable shelf space, because as I said, I'm using every inch I can get, it also makes the shelves feel more blended with the wall so they don't like end abruptly. Next up, the vanity. So I thought about just building my own vanity from scratch, but by the time I priced everything out, like the lumber and lighting, because I really wanted it to have a light, it got kind of expensive, and it was way cheaper just to buy a pre-made one. However, I did not want it to look like a flat pack piece of furniture where you just assemble it with an Allen wrench and plop it in your space. I wanted it to feel more custom. I picked this one because it has a lighted mirror, and it also has like side outlets for things like curling irons, and there's even a couple like USB charging ports. So there's a lot of function, and it was only like $150. So I will link it below, as well as some alternate similar options. But here's where I customize it. I took the legs completely off. Instead of letting it sit on the floor like it's supposed to, I'm mounting it on the lower shelf so that it looks like it's built into the wall. No legs means it floats, and floating means it looks way more custom. Plus, it gives me more space underneath for the stool to tuck completely against the wall, and something about there not being furniture legs there really helps this space because it already feels tight as is, so having everything attached to the wall versus having clunky furniture sitting out makes it feel like there's things allowed to be in the hallway without it feeling like cluttered and full. It honestly felt pretty secure just sitting right on top of the shelf, but I added just a couple of screws to secure the vanity to the top of the shelf, just in case. Now we have a flat pack vanity with lots of function like lighting and outlets that looks like it was completely designed for this space. With the bones in place, the shelves up, the vanity mounted, it was time to start adding some personality. The first thing I wanted to tackle is the walls, which is always where I seem to get a little stuck. I have a serious problem committing to art. I have been known to leave walls blank for months to even years because I just can't decide. There's just way too many good options, so I can't pick, and then I just never end up doing it. But this time, I have a plan. I'm gonna hang the frames first and then figure out what goes in them later. These are the SwitchBot AI art frames, and they have completely solved my indecision problem. I have the 7.3 inch, which is the smaller one, and the 13.3 inch, which is this bigger one. And what makes them different from any art print I've ever hung is that the art is never permanent. You can literally change it from your phone whenever you want. The display uses e-ink Spectra 6 technology, which means no backlight, no glare, and no glow. So it looks like a real painting on your wall, like actually printed art, not a screen. And here's where it gets really fun. There's built-in AI, so the app lets you generate customized art from a text prompt. So I typed in the vibe that I wanted for this space, and it just made it. You can also remix your own photos in different art styles, like oil paintings, watercolors, or pencil sketch. And because it runs on a built-in battery that lasts up to 2 years, there's 0 cords. 0. It just hangs on the wall like a regular frame. For my hallway getting ready space, this is everything. There's no drilling to try to figure out outlets. I'm not hiding cords, it just works. So having these two sizes lets me create a little gallery moment above the vanity that kind of works with the mirror. So the larger frame is my anchor, and then the smaller frame is a perfect accent. And I can change what's in them based on my mood, the seasons, whatever. My art actually fits the space perfectly, and if it doesn't, I can change it at any time from my phone without ever touching the frame. If you want to grab one of these for your space, I'll link both sizes in the description below. The next order of business was hiding the cord. So basically, I have a little extension cord that plugs into the wall. I thought about building something super complicated to conceal this cord, but then I thought, what if I just put a big bushy plant in front of it? So it's helping to cover up the cord and adding life to the space at the same time. I feel like this is so easy and a win-win. It's not completely concealed, but honestly, this awkward placement for this cord, I don't think anything is going to completely conceal it unless I redid the electrical, so I'm pretty good with it for now. The top shelf was all about storage that looks like decor. I added baskets up here to add stuff that I don't need to access every single day, and then some trailing plants to kind of soften everything and make it feel more alive. On the vanity surface and lower shelf, I added some cute pottery for my storage, so like a little jar where I can store all of the brushes, and then a little dish where I can put some of my pretty skincare bottles. I find so many of these little like trinket dishes and bowls thrifting, so that's such a good place to look for unique pieces that are going to be really affordable. You could also make your own out of air dry clay, which is really simple, and then you can paint them and customize them and cover with like a clear shiny coat, and it actually looks like thrown pottery. Well, I might try that next, but for now I tend to have a lot of these hanging around and not a lot of use for them, so putting them here because they're also tiny and they fit the space really well. For my curling iron, I hung a long basket on the wall, and it fits like the curling iron and then also some like styling products like hairspray and this hair mask I really like. And this way I can just kind of like messy wrap the cord and shove it in a basket and it looks put away. It's also right next to the outlet, so I will link some similar baskets down below. I think I thrifted this one, but there's a lot of really similar styles that would totally work too. And speaking of curling irons, this one is my absolute favorite, and we have to talk about it because I always joke that this is my favorite power tool. I discovered it last summer at a YouTube event. They had a pop-up at the YouTube office, and they did my hair with these adorable braids and charms and this curling iron, and I was obsessed immediately. And we also had a really good laugh because the girl that was styling my hair kept finding paint in my hair because I had just been painting a wall. So that was pretty funny because she was like, what do you do for work? I was like, I obviously make messes full time. Anyway, so here's how this thing works. It's called the beach waver, and it rotates by itself with a button. Has a little clamp just at the bottom. You clamp your hair in, and the button goes both ways as far as like which direction it twists. So you don't have to twist your whole wrist every single time to get the curl. My wrists thank me every single morning. There's so many colors, but look how cute this one is. This little pink and purple pastel, which is obviously the reason I needed it. I will link it below because it's been a game changer, and I even sometimes bring my battery pack and do my hair in the car. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have great success with drawers. Like, my track record is anytime I get a drawer, I just shove things in there and fill it up. So we're gonna be a little more strategic this time and try to organize it from the beginning and give everything a place and see how far that gets us. So I looked up like dedicated makeup organizers. They're a little pricey. I thought about making my own. That sounded annoying, which is usually my go-to, but here we are. So I'm gonna use this, which is just a basic like silverware organizer, but it's expandable, so it will fit the drawer hopefully perfectly, and we can put like all the little stuff in here, so wish me luck. And while we're on the topic of drawers, let me show you what's going in here. I have like a select 5 favorite products. My lip go-to is this lip oil. I also discovered this at the YouTube event in the goodie bag. And I'm laughing because this was like last summer and everyone else posted their hauls and I'm like 85 years late. But it's been my favorite for a year, so it's my go-to and it's lasted a really long time. I feel like it's still half full and I use it all the time, so that's exciting. You don't need a lot. Super pretty sheer coverage and keeps your lips moisturized. Okay, foundation. I love like a 12-in-1 product. Like, we do one step, it does 12 things for us. So I've been using this, is it Ilia? We don't know. Foundation forever. I fell in love with this brand when they first came out as like one of my first discoveries of like clean beauty. Oh, the products can be good for you. Crazy. It has hyaluronic acid, so it's super moisturizing, really glowy. It kind of smells like Play-Doh, but I've gotten used to it, and I feel like my shade is like 11 or 11.5 for summer and then 7 in the winter. And then I still use 7 like under my eyes instead of concealer because it doesn't like crinkle and crease. It gives pretty light coverage, but you can like build it. It has skincare ingredients, so it feels like it's actually doing something good for your skin while you're wearing it. So this is my everyday. My current hair obsession. So my hair gets really, really dry on the ends, probably because it's technically curly and I let it air dry and then blast it with a curling iron. So I've tried every potion imaginable, right? Like $100 serums, all kinds of oils, things with big promises that seem to do absolutely nothing because in one day it's dry again. This hair serum is under $10 and it actually works. It is the L'Oreal like 2% hyaluronic acid something. I will link it down below. Basically, it's like a really light serum, so it's not gonna be super sticky. Like some serums are so sticky when you put them on dry hair, it's like, ugh, gross. It's also not as thick as like a leave-in conditioner. So I like it because it's hydrating. I basically put it like from the middle to my ends and then I layer an oil on top of it. So I use this as like a hydrating serum to add some moisture and then put an oil on top. Because you know, if you put an oil on dry hair, it pretty much does nothing but just look oily. So, okay, my other favorite thing I just got, which is totally like a hippie product. It even looks like a hippie product, but I'm obsessed. So some days I just like don't feel like wearing makeup, but then I look kind of like pale and ghostly and people are like, are you okay? I really hate that when you don't wear makeup and everyone's like, are you sick? It's like, no, this is just my real face. So anyway, I found this magic little potion bottle, except it's not a potion, it's this mineral powder, and it comes with this little puff, and you just puff some on your cheeks, and I put some like on my eyes as like eyeshadow, and you can put it on your lips too, and it's this really pretty like reddish orange color, so it's almost like a blush and a bronzer had a baby. So it's like a one-step, like add some colors so that you can like leave the house and look alive. I'm really liking it. I also think it's like really cute, this little pot. There's like a little one and a big one. I'm just sitting on the vanity, so also really into that. Anyway, I could talk to you about products for 85 years because I have ADHD and I have new favorites every week that I'm hyper fixated on, but let's get to this reveal. So we went from that to this. A blank hallway wall. That's all this was. And now it's the spot I actually look forward to coming to every morning. Proof that you don't need more space, just more creativity. So everything I used in this build and all my favorite products are linked in the description below, including the SwitchBot AI frames. And you can use my link to save a little something on Amazon. If you want to see more small space transformations just like this, subscribe. I make videos about turning meh into magic, and I would love to have you here.
Now I found the flow. I need you to